this is part 2 of the Circle class. So we've created the Circle class, and in a tester class, which is another reason to create a class, we have this public static void main, which we've used to see, and we've created a couple of circle objects, A, B, and C. Okay. So we're going to go through some of the methods, and then I'll probably add maybe a method or two at the end. Okay, so what would happen if we did a dot get area? Well, A is the unit circle, so the radius is 1. So it would be 1 times 1 squared times pi. So basically just going to get pi, or around that. Or not around, it'll be exactly, not exactly pi, but it'll be to several decimal places. Okay, so we have that. Now, what do you think happens if we do this? B dot get, let's just do B dot x coordinate. Well, if I try to do B dot x coordinate, it says x coordinate has private access in circle. So I can't use the x coordinate out here. Now, what if I did B dot get x coordinate? Well, that's just not a method. We didn't create a method called get x coordinate. And the same thing for y coordinate. We also cannot set the y coordinate or x coordinate. Okay. Now what we did do is, let me do A dot set radius to 5. So now A is not the unit circle anymore. A is center is 0, 0, but now has a radius of 5. Okay, so now if I do A dot get area, it'll be 5 times, or no, it'll be 25 times pi. So 25 times 3 is 75, so it'll be more than 7, maybe 78 or something like that. Okay, or 76, I don't know. So that's what that'll be. Because now it will be 25 pi. Let's just put that. Okay, as a decimal. So those are the first couple methods that we've done. So we see the set radius, get area for both times. Okay, so what if we did? Okay, so what if we did system.out.print b dot get radius, which works, equals 5. So I can access B's radius out here. His radius is 5. So if I just said it, this is equals. It's not assignment. It's checking to see if these two things are equal. It would say true. They are equal. So it would print true. Okay. What else do we have? System.out.print B dot passes through origin. As long as I've named that the same way, that should be true. 3, 4, 5, you can think of a 3, 4, 5 triangle. It's going to go through the origin. Okay, at the center, 3, 4, the radius is 5, but we'll touch the origin. C will not. So it should give us false. Okay, so, no, by the way, this is going to give me an error. Let's try this. I cannot print a.setRadius because set radius is a correct method, but it is a void method. Because we set the radius, we don't need to return anything back. It's just a void method. So I need that, but no system.out.print there. Okay. So originally, A's area is 3.14. I'll set the radius to 5, which will change the new area to be 25 times pi. Again, 78, something maybe like that, 77. System.out.print b.get radius equals 5 should give us true because b's radius is 5. System.print b dot passes to the origin. True, so last one should be true false. Let's try it. Okay, so pi, that's 25 times pi. And that is, the radius is equal to 5, and the first circle does pass the origin, the second one does not. So just like we thought. So we have those, we checked all of those. Now, let's think of another one. Let's do what you think, you probably don't know, would happen if we did that. Okay, well, I'm trying to print out C. Well, you might hope that it would say x coordinate is 3, y coordinate is 4, radius is 6. You also might think, well, it doesn't know what to print, so it would probably give you an error message. Well, I'll compile, and it does compile, so it's going to do something. And let's run this thing. We've already checked everything except the last statement. And it gives us this. This is the memory location for that particular object. Now, it's not really useful for us, but that's what it is. Okay. Now, how does it even know to call that? Is because the circle class, this is actually calling this method. It's called the toString method. I'll show you again just to show you can see that's what it called. Okay, that's it. So when you try to print an object out, any object, it automatically calls the toString method. Now, the reason it has a toString method is because it inherits that method from the object class. Object as a class. So just like public class object. Okay. So all the classes that we create, circle tester, circle, whatever we've created before, they all extend object and inherit all of object's methods. One of those methods is toString. And when an object is tried to print, it will automatically call the toString method. Okay? Now, if we wanted to change that, which is very common, if we wanted to print out a circle, what would we hope it would print out? We can define that in the circle class. So, let me try to do that. So, I'm actually overriding the toString method. This is the header. It returns a string, and it returns a string of whatever you think those objects should look like if they are printed out. So you could just say x coordinate is this, y coordinate is this, radius is this. If I have the x coordinate, the y coordinate, and the radius, I could return the equation like this. This is standard form of a circle. Okay, so it would look like return, open my parentheses, x, and I'll just do the general case of minus. So sometimes we'll get a minus a negative number. So right now that's fine. I'll close that. I am concatenating that with the actual x coordinate. And then I'm going to concatenate that with a closed parentheses and then a caret 2. So right now we're up to this point right here. Okay. I'll also next do a plus, another open, y minus, and then I'll close that because that D is our y coordinate. So I'll concatenate our y coordinate and I'll concatenate the closed parentheses, the caret 2, the equal sign, the space. This is all this part of the string right here. And if you need to, pause this, I'm gonna go on kind of fast. If you need to pause this, then just go back and look at it. And the last one is radius times radius. This is after the equal sign. Okay, so this should return the circle in its standard form. Okay, this is the toString method. Okay, so now let me just go back to C. If I print C, it should give me x minus 3 squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 36. Let's try it. So that's my two-string method. So now if I print circles, objects, they print like this. So that's what the two-string method is. Okay, another method, this is the last thing I'll do. Another method that is inherited from object is the equals method. Public Boolean equals. Now from object, what the purpose of this method is to see if these two objects are equal to each other. So one thing that's passed here is an object. This has to be this header to truly override that object method. Okay, it's got to take in an object. Even though I'm dealing with circles now, I could put a circle object here. But I'm trying to compare if this object is equal to this object. It has to have the same header in order to override the equals method. So the first thing I'll do is create a circle. I'll just call it temp. And what I'm doing here is, we talked about casting. You can class cast, which means I'm casting O to be a circle. Okay, and that's important because O does not have an X coordinate and a Y coordinate and a radius. It's an object. So circle is a subclass of object, and I can class cast object to be a circle. Okay, that will get more important later on. So right now I have temp, which is the original object passed. So what I can we define what would make two circles equal to each other. If you wanted to say, okay, if they have the same radius, if they're the same size, they're equal. Or you might say they have to be the same size and have the same center to actually be the same circle in the coordinate plane. Then that's it. Okay, however you want to define it. I'll just say two circles are equal if the two radiuses are the same. This radius right here, sometimes people put this in front of it. And what that means is one circle object will call this method. It will have a radius. Another circle object that's getting passed, which was O and then became temp, will also have a radius. If those two things are the same thing, then I'll return true. If they're not, then I'll return false. Another way to have done this would have been, if this is true, then return true, else return false. This is just a quicker way. Okay, so that's the equals method. And let's try it out. Let's say is A dot equals B. And actually they are, because A's radius is 5. Remember, we set it to 5. B's radius was initially set to 5 and we never changed it. So they should be equal. Now let's see if A dot equals C. A's radius is 5. C's radius is 6. They should not be equal. So the last two things, we've checked everything except those. The last two things should be true, false. And that'll be the end of the video. True, false.